I'm going to introduce you to AnchorID. And David, stay. Okay, David, come on up. Thank you very much. My last name is Schrofer, and I don't impose that on anybody to try to pronounce on the fly. But thank you very much for having me. This is actually my first time at this event. A whole lot of people here. Very good. So just to get a feel for the room, how many people work at a startup in this group? Excellent. How many people work in the for the state or for in the IT world, some other capacity? Fantastic. Do we have like lawyers and doctors and Indian chiefs also? Very good. Okay, so I'm just here to tell you a little bit about AnchorID, just to give you a feel for some of the other things that are being developed here in the Hudson Valley. And let me just make sure this is, there we go. So the problem we're attacking is the problem of passwords. Right? They don't work, I don't like them, you don't like them. Does anybody here trust passwords to keep their secrets safe, their accounts safe? No, of course not. There's always one. But by and large, it's a difficult technology to keep on top of. So what we decided was, this is an industry that is completely primed for disruption. Number one, it's causing $3.5 billion in losses every year, just from stolen passwords, hijacked accounts, etc. There we go. Proximity problem there. Okay. Number two, password technology was really invented, even the salting and hashing stuff is almost 55 years old. Now, I posit that if smartphones were around 55 years ago, passwords never would have existed. Why? Because the technology in smartphones is so much more advanced. Obviously, from a client perspective, we're also dealing with companies that spend a lot of money on things like single sign-on and other enterprise functions that can easily be streamlined, again, with the smartphone in the picture. And last but not least, the good old biometrics market. We've all heard about the cool stuff like eye scans and gait scans and face scans and voice scans that you can use to log into stuff, but the problem is it's not consolidated. There's no framework for a client to use all of those different types of things in one place. So with that, I'm going to show you a quick video, and I'll just talk you through it to explain what AnchorID is. So here I'm going to enter a username, but notice that I'm not going to enter a password at all. Now that's really my phone on the right. This wasn't faked or anything like that. There we go. So I'm entering a username. In my case, it's anchor tag D11. And I'm going to skip the password field entirely, and I'm simply going to hit the login button. Now, when I click login, you're going to see my phone wake up in just a couple of seconds, and it gives me the simplest of all possible options, yes or no, a green button and a red button. I hit the green one, and it takes about a half a second for me to actually log into the site. Pretty cool, right? So I'm going to give you another example. If you need a little bit more security, this is where the biometrics come in. Now I'm going to use voice biometrics in this example, but just remember it really could be any kind of biometrics at all. So in this case, I'm going to use, it's important, the same anchor tag, same AnchorID. So if you were an employee and you had a dozen different systems to use every single day, you could use the same ID. So when I hit sign in, again, my phone's going to wake up and ask me yes or no, you're trying to log in? I'll hit yes. And you'll see it's also going to give me a voice sample request, meaning I have to press that green button and say, my voice is my password, please verify me, because that's what we do, because I like that movie like the rest of you probably do. And with that, I've set that into the phone, and the site wakes up. And it really is as simple as that. So we can go back to the PowerPoint now, Jason. But fundamentally, that's what it is. So if we sold it to a client, if you're a small, medium-sized business of any kind, you wanted to use a product like that, you would plug it in, and you would have the option of using any of those different form factors that I just showed you and then some. So in short, if the old way is using a password, the new way is hitting a green button. Okay, that doesn't sound very secure in and of itself, but if you think about what's happening in the background, that's where the important stuff comes in. Our product, depending on if we're on iOS or Android, is checking all kinds of different attributes of the phone itself just by hitting that green button. Okay, that's a big deal because the machine's doing the hard work, not the person. Right now, you all have to remember your passwords, jot it down, try to figure out a way to keep that password secure and safe, as opposed to the alternative of it getting stolen somewhere. In addition, of course, you can do biometrics on top of all of that to make one of the most secure login environments you possibly can build. Here's a stat that I wish I didn't know. It takes a franchise or a financial institution about 98 days to figure out that they've been hacked. Why the hackers don't make themselves known until they absolutely have to. The better way to do it is to actually block the guy from getting in the first place. The cancel button is probably the best part of our product. You know you're being hacked when the bad guy is trying to get in. You say, hey, I'm standing on a stage right now. I'm not trying to log into some website. Therefore, I hit the cancel button. The bad guy gets blocked. Now, if any of you are actually in a position to buy products for enterprise security, this slide probably gives you hives, so I apologize. But this is the process that you go through to create a new technology and integrate it into an existing enterprise system. It's a lot. There's usually an RFP, which is weeks and weeks in and of itself, not to mention picking the vendor, negotiating the terms, etc. Now with AnchorID, and you would have to do that to try one new technology. If you wanted to use AnchorID to try a new technology, you would click a button. Click a link within your GUI interface, and you'd be able to try not only voice recognition, but voice recognition from different vendors, because different vendors have different prices, different vendors have different quality, just like any other product in the marketplace. So we don't only offer our stuff, we offer the stuff from other companies as well. And by the way, probably the best part, you don't have to rip out whatever you have installed in your enterprise system to put AnchorID in. Right now, we just finished up our first installation of Active Directory. We work on Azure, and we also, of course, are LDAP and SAML based. If you know what I mean by that, then you probably want to talk to me afterwards. Or rather, I want to talk to you. So in short, so we're a product that replaces the password altogether. We use the smartphone to do that. We created a marketplace really for these biometric companies, all of which are trying to sell the same thing to the same company. Now we give them a framework. They can sell through us. Our clients can use them through us. And fundamentally, the concept of a federated ID. So there's no more single sign-on necessary. You just put the AnchorID authentication layer on top of each individual system, and voila, you've got a user experience that's the same across all systems. It's easy to use, and you don't have to go through that constant battle of keeping your single sign-on up to date as you add new systems. Here's a quick view of some of our clients. These are clients that are live. These are some of the agreements that we've signed and companies that have paid us to install. We are actually installing 320 credit unions at the moment. We'll call that the curve in the hockey stick growth of the startup. So we're awfully happy about that. We also have Marist down in Poughkeepsie. We're based in Kingston, by the way, so we're a little bit closer to that neck of the woods. And so these are some of the key attributes that I just mentioned, and this is what some of our clients have to say. They love it. It's addictive. I call it crack technology, right? Once our clients actually let their users use it to log in instead of a password, they don't want to go back. It's fantastic. So here's a couple of the ROI elements that we give to our clients. So fraud reduction of about 26% every year. Reduction in calls to the call center. Why? Password resets are the number one reason for calls to a call center. 22%. And our 1 year ROI per user is about $1. Meaning you pay me $1, I'll give you the $1 you paid me back plus $1 on top of that. So we're about out of time, so I'm just going to wrap up with this. If you want to buy AnchorID, that's where you go. Sales@AnchorID.com. If you just think this is really, really cool and you want to tweet about us, our Twitter handle is @AnchorID. And if you are a developer or even somebody in marketing, we're hiring at an increasing rate, so please feel free to send an email to jobs@AnchorID. Thanks very much.
Thanks a lot.
Any questions? Do I have any questions? I don't know.
Does anybody have any questions for David?
Yes.
Who's your competition right now? Duo Security is probably one of the bigger. Can everybody hear it? Without the mic?
No, we need the mic.
Thank you.
Duo Security is probably one of our closest competitors, even though they're a really closed system and we're an open framework, meaning we support third-party products. They absolutely positively do not. The companies like Usher, which is a MicroStrategy product, are also similar in the sense that they have that yes/no button as an authentication type. But both of those products require you to enter a username and enter a password and then hit the button on your phone. We figure skipping the password is going to save a step and make it easier for the user. I saw another question in this general vicinity.
Anyone in the balcony with a question?
Are there a few options for the geolocation? Like if you travel a lot, would you have to re-verify every time you travel somewhere? Or is there a preset for that or an option?
Well, we build the dashboard and we let the client choose the parameters that they give an individual user. So yes, we have geolocation, both in geofence, radius from a point in space, and we also have by zip code. So for example, if you were a salesperson, you were supposed to work these 3 zip codes on one day and those 4 zip codes on another day, then you could easily switch back and forth. So the person couldn't use their phone effectively unless they or use their systems unless they were in that zone, physically in that zone with their smartphone.
In the balcony?
Yeah, it seemed like your demonstration showed that you get a 50% chance of getting in just by saying yes or no, based on a number. Why? Am I missing something?
Yeah, a lot. No offense. But when we present that yes/no button, we're doing a number of things machine to machine. So number one, we're checking the serial number of the device. Every smartphone has a serial number of some kind, an electronic ID of some kind. So we check that. We check the 10-digit phone number because that's exposed to an app. And then we go to the carrier, or at least we do periodically, we go to the carrier and say, hey, we've got the serial number, we've got this 10-digit phone number. Do they match? On your system, AT&T or Verizon, is this the number that goes to this phone or not? So we keep a record of that. We check that every single time. On top of that, we have a soft token that we put on the phone at the time that you register, which of course is always randomized, always changing. So we check to see if that token is what it should be at that moment in time. So the user does that, the machine does everything I just said.
Let's give it